Ivan, this headlight looks a lot better than that one.
It sure does. I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. Today we're going to show you an easy way of restoring your headlights
Before and after.
without necessarily having recourse to sandpaper.
Right, we're trying to meet you where you are as a DIYer out there, and sandpaper introduces risk. It can inflict deep gouging. You might slip onto the paint. Ask me how I know. We're gonna give you very good results. As you can see, this is the after, and that's the before.
Exactly.
Before, after, you get the idea. This is not perfect, but boy, from 10 feet away, it's very satisfying results.
And with the lights on, they'll be able to see where they're driving at night. The other thing is, these headlights have been previously restored. This vehicle has over 200,000 miles on it, and the person that restored it looks like they used like a wipe-on clear coat, because we see wipe lines, we see delamination, so we're going to go after that. And if we start sanding on this, then we have to be sure to sand all of that off. The wipe-on clear coat that's been used on the headlight, like the clear coat on your paint, can be polished and restored.
Folks may have no idea if there's been wipe-on clear coat applied. They've maybe never touched their headlights before in their life. So
exactly.
I guess just give me that frame of reference for the beginner of like, what are we realistically trying to take away in terms of oxidation and years of wear and tear?
Yeah.
And so what's happening, and what should I be thinking about as I start?
So we want to make sure that we're not too aggressive, because we can actually, like Nick mentioned, damage the headlight. And speaking of that aggression, that's why I have tape in my hand, because even though I'm going to be polishing with a safe polishing pad, I want to make sure that I'm not accidentally touching the paint and maybe gouging it or improving it, as the case may be, beyond what we want to improve it.
Now, every headlight is different. Is there a certain era of headlight that responds better to certain things or not?
Well, modern headlights are pretty much all plastic, and that's why they need to be restored. If you have an older vehicle, good chance you have glass headlights, you'll never need to do this.
Yeah, this gets real hazy and foggy, so visually I think if your headlights get dialed in, they just look better, but also, as you mentioned at the beginning, it's just a visibility thing at night.
Exactly, it's safety. And having your headlights clean, having your headlights so that the light can actually go through them is a safety thing. And going around the corner of the headlight here, I'm just using little pieces of tape, and it allows me to go around the corner quite easily. Using smaller pieces as well gives you a little more, let's say, control over the tape. And I'm actually putting it in under the headlight, so it's actually behind the headlight when I'm doing this. So I'm sure that I'm not going to go past the headlight. You want to be careful not to get the tape on the headlight, not that it's any detriment to the headlight, but then you'll end up with a spot that isn't restored, and you'll have to start over again. And there's one area of a little more concern, and that's the very bottom corner of the headlight, because I'm going to be using a 6-inch pad. It's my preferred size for doing this. I actually have more dexterity with a 6-inch pad than I do with a smaller pad. It allows me to get into most of these areas easily. The only area that's going to be a little more difficult is this very sharp bottom corner. So I'm going to be adding just one little extra layer of tape there. And that's going to allow me to work in there safely and not damage anything. Now, of course, we've washed the vehicle. It's clean. We've even clayed the headlights. So they're decontaminated. They're ready to go. Next, what tool do we choose? Well, I'm going to be using the rotary in our wool pad. Now, normally that pad is reserved for the dual action, and you can actually use the dual action here. But I find I have a lot more precision with the rotary. It allows me to get into these areas a lot better and a lot easier, especially when I'm dealing with the curves, because it's staying in place. I know exactly where the edge is at all times. Whereas with a DA, especially with a 25mm stroke, that edge is a moving target. I've washed my pad, I've prepped my pad, I've applied the polish. Next, we start polishing. Speed 1, that's all I need. stop it there and we'll get a tighter shot here. You can see exactly where I've been. The color changes, it's already clear. So I don't need a lot of correction. Think of this as my test spot. I used the most damaged part, which is the upper part of this light, and one quick little pass, and we have a clear headlight again. So back to polishing. Normally we suggest keeping your pad as flat as possible. Well, on these edges, of course I can't keep the whole pad surface touching that, but I'm trying to keep it as flat on this area that I'm doing, and when I get down to these large areas, I'll keep it flat there as well. You don't want to be up on edge like this if you can at all avoid it. Pad's starting to get dry. I'll clean the pad, reload it with polish, and start working again. One little trick as well. When you got a very concave area like this, I have to use the edge of the pad. What I can do is spray just a little bit on there, not much. That way I'm sure I have polish on the edge of the pad, because I will be using the edge of the pad just a little bit. We have Nick with the cell phone over here. Just get a tighter shot. We can see this edge that's here. And this is that wipe-on clear coat that's degrading along that edge. And they may not have gotten it all the way to the edge when they restored the headlight the last time. So I'm gonna start polishing this and we'll see a change. So there's still a little bit of a wavy edge there, but from 2 feet away, we'll never see it again. Just like when we're polishing paint, heat is our enemy. We don't want to heat up the headlight. It's plastic. Heat is going to actually degrade the headlight faster. And I was mentioning before, I put extra tape in this corner here. And the reason we have extra tape in this corner is I have a 6-inch diameter pad, and this is a tight angle. So I have to get in there. And to get in there, I'm gonna have to flex my pad a little bit and maybe get close to that paint. So I don't want to damage the paint or the chrome here. In worst case scenario, you can actually hand polish that.
I have a question, Yvan.
Yes, sir.
Does it matter what kind of tape we buy?
This is regular automotive masking tape, but no, any tape will do the job.
And then you may have mentioned it earlier, I was getting some tight shots with the cameras, but why the rotary over the dual action?
The precision that the rotary offers us. So with the dual action, we have that 25mm stroke. So the edge of the pad is a moving target because it's always going around. Now I can do it with the DA, and here, we'll do a case in point. So if all you have is a DA, don't go out and buy a rotary just to do your headlights. So we can be just as precise with this, but it just takes a little more skill than with the rotary.
I see what you mean. The tilting on edge work is so easy with the rotary.
Right.
Your tip about putting the polish dab on the edge just to make sure, because that's where the edge of the pad can get dry, right?
Exactly.
And we don't want it to get dry and then rub on there and create heat and do something to the headlight.
No, and the DA has a slight disadvantage with that. The other aspect about the DA is the additional vibration a little bit, but it's actually more aggressive than the rotary. So being more aggressive than the rotary, sometimes we can actually take a little too much of the headlight off.
Well, and as it's vibrating, it's interesting. You think about the rotary being the thing that might slip out of someone's hand. That's the reputation. Oh, the rotary causes swirls and it runs away from you because it only goes in one direction.
Right.
Just listen, Yvan, that's not the case if you just use it right. But the DA, because of how the random orbits happen, it feels like it can get a little jumpy on you when you're in a really tight situation and you don't want to be knocking into any molding.
So as an example, right here on the top of the headlight, it's the width of this ledge is about the same width as the stroke on our DA. It's a 1-inch stroke, 25mm, and this is just a little over an inch. So to be able to edge that without hitting the paint, can be done. You have to be a little more cautious with your DA.
And now what speed are you on?
I'm at speed 1.
Okay.
And we basically have no stalling. Now, some DAs, speed 1, they're just gonna, you can put your finger on it, it's gonna stall. So you can go up to speed 2 or 3. Now I'm at speed 3. So we can see that right here, the pad at one end of its stroke is there, and at the other end of the stroke it's there. So I have to be careful, because if I go off, then I can start hitting on the side. So we basically have to watch these two circles at all times.
Hence why the rotary is just an easier tool to use.
Easier tool to use, especially in this scenario. But now the headlight is clear, it's restored. We have a few other things to do on this vehicle, like ceramic coating the whole thing. But we just wanted to take the time out to show you the headlight because it's something we get asked about a lot. And what grit sandpaper do I start with and all that? Start just by polishing, and you might end up with a great job. And then if you need to go to sandpaper, you can, but always start with the least aggressive possible.
Now, I sometimes find that a scratch pattern inflicted by a wool pad is a great finish.
Yeah.
But I also think that refining with the yellow waffle is something that for an extra 30 seconds might be worth our time.
look.
Do you think it's worth our time?
Let's give it a try.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, would you do it on the DA or the rotary?
I will do it on the rotary personally.
Okay.
Spray of polish. I'll just do half and we'll compare.
Okay.
So we have the upper half of the headlight done and the lower half with the wool. On camera, you're probably not going to see a difference. And in real life, there's just a little difference. Our wool pad is actually very good at finishing down. And it's not like the old-fashioned wool pad on the rotary, the steamed wool that we had, or that we still have. But this has given us, the line is right there. So
I think in person, especially because you did the wool and the gold standard polish over here.
Yeah.
I think the yellow actually adds a brighter shine. So that's how we would do a two-step correction. That's how you might approach headlights as well. A more aggressive scratch pattern early, and then refining it with the same polish that we have to add that pop at the end.
Right. Now for protection, we're going to be using, of course, the DIY ceramic coating. If you have the availability, paint protection film is actually the best thing you can put on your headlight because it's not going to yellow and your headlight underneath it is not going to yellow. The ceramic coating is going to be a year, maybe 2 on a headlight. And depending on what country you're in as well, because I'm from Canada, headlights are on all the time. We have daylight running lights. It's been a law since the 90s. And there are a lot of European countries that the headlights are on 24/7, or every time the car is running, the headlights are on.
There's also this element, Ivan, I feel like where our system is so safe, the methods that we teach, right? We're not teaching you the most high-level paint correction skills because the more refined you get, the more down the rabbit hole you get, the more dangers involved and expertise and all that.
Yeah.
This is sort of a gray area where you can kind of get into trouble if you get these too hot or if you sand and you miss and you hit paint.
Yep.
So this is about as kind of aggressive as we want to get in terms of teaching a DIYer.
Definitely. And we have a great result as well.
Absolutely.
It's not, yes, if we would have wet sanded them and done all of that, we might have had just a slightly better result, but not that much. The difference will be minimal. And this is something that you can do every year, every 2 years if you need to. And even if you put brand new headlights on this, they're still going to go yellow after a certain amount of time.
Why does that oxidation happen?
Plastic. It's just the way plastic is. And because of the heat combined with the lights, now if you have LED headlights, it's less of an issue because they don't generate heat like the halogen headlights. But nonetheless, you're going to get that clarity back from polishing, and when you see they're starting to get yellow again, give them a quick polish, add a bit of coating, you're good to go.
Folks, if you know Ivan, you know he loves to cut with a dual action polisher with the wool cutting pad.
Yeah.
I've never seen him cut with wool. Of course, he used to do that all the time back in the good old days.
Right.
You've been detailing a few years. So it was fun to see you spice it up a little bit, do a unique video that we've never done before. If you want to have us do a deeper dive on headlights, if you want to see us grab the sandpaper. We don't do that very often. We may not do it, but write in the comments below. Try this method, see what you think. We love to hear your comments. We answer them, and that gives us ideas for more videos.
So if you'd like to learn more about ceramic coatings like the one we're going to be putting on the headlights, you might want to watch this one right here.